welcome everyone. Thanks for your patience waiting. We're just letting everyone in then. And welcome to our Year 11 GCSE Parent Information Evening. I'm not going to take up too much of your time tonight. Just we've got some key messages and just going to signpost some important information that will be coming your way this week as well, that will support in preparing students for over the Easter holidays. And as we come back then after the Easter break, ready for our summer term and the start of the GCSE examinations. Okay. We are recording this as well, so we'll save it. And it'll be on the school website for you to access. And I'll point that out in a minute where everything will be saved. Just some kind of like housekeeping at the beginning, just some kind of queries that you might have thought about, but spring reports should be received this week. So students obviously have just finished their March mock exams, and their grades and data for that will be sent home as a short report, and it should be in your inbox this week. College places, they should be confirmed after Easter if you haven't heard back already. They are processing thousands of applications. But if you haven't heard back after Easter, any problems, if you contact the colleges directly, that'll be the fastest way to resolve any issues. You will be receiving a parent pack in the post. This will have lots of key information in it, such as the examination timetable, so the real GCSE timetable, and when those exams have been scheduled by the exam boards. It will have a blank copy of a revision timetable, which I'll talk through a little bit later on. It will have some information from an evening that we had for a group of students last week, where curriculum leaders talked about how to revise in the EBAC subjects. So you'll get the PowerPoint slides from that as a hard copy, and there's a recording of that on the website. So I've just put a screenshot there of it on the slide. If you go to our school website, there's a tab right at the top now that just says Year 11 Revision. And if you go on that, the recording of that event is on there. So you can follow through with your slides that you will receive in the post, and you can make notes, etc., and talk about that with your child at home. So it's how to revise in English, math, science, languages, did a session as well. And it will give you lots of kind of tips on how to support over the next 2 weeks. Students will receive a GCSE personalised timetable. So in addition to the one in the pack this week, there'll be the actual personal timetable for your child. But you can go through the paper copy one with them and just kind of identify where those exams are. You will find that they'll be sitting multiple exams in a day, and it is quite jam-packed. It's a week earlier than it was last year, so it's all kind of condensed into a shorter space of time. And the Year 11 page just there, I've just briefly mentioned it before, is on the website, so it's the top link. And if you go on there, there's how to revise, there's blank copies of exam timetables, there's PLCs, lots of information on there, and we will add to it, but we just wanted kind of a one-stop shop where you can go to seek any further information or advice on there. Okay, so the exam timetable, it looks jam-packed here. What I've got here for you is just kind of like a calendar of the weeks coming by. So when we come back after Easter, 3 weeks after we come back, we go straight into the art and MFL exams, and the speaking exams for MFL. So there's art exams, which is kind of 2 lots of 5-hour periods, which takes up a lot of timetable time for the students, and then the speaking exams. And then in week 4 of the summer term, so the 4th week back, which is Monday the 6th of May, that is a bank holiday, but that's the week when the GCSE exams begin. So prior to that, we've got art and MFL in week 3, but week 4 is the first week of the GCSE exams, and that starts on Monday, the week beginning Monday the 6th of May. We lose them on the Monday for the bank holiday, so they'll miss subjects, they'll miss an option double, and they miss an English double as well there. So that's a crucial time for them. And then you can see in blue there all the exams. So the first week they've got biology on the Friday, and they've got drama on the Thursday, and if anyone's students, there's only maybe one or two that would sit German on the Friday. You don't need to make notes or anything because you will get a copy of this in the post, but I just kind of want to show you, just to whiz through it in terms of how jam-packed it is. Week 2 then begins on the 13th of May. And that's our English Lit paper. And then in the afternoon, there's sport, Turkish and media. So some students then could potentially have 3 exams on that Monday if they study sport and media as an option. Tuesday, we've got French and business. Wednesday, history paper 1. And then in the afternoon, computer science. So again, students doing both of those options have got to manage doing 2 kind of demanding exams in one day, morning and afternoon. Maths on the Thursday, and then on the Friday, chemistry and geography paper 1. So that's the kind of the first 2 weeks of the exams. Just flick forward next, miss. And then this one's quite small. But this then is our last week of the half term before we break up for the Easter break. So in that one, we've got English literature, media, French, English language, physics, and computer science, and then we break up. So it's a short term, but it's also a long term. It's very, very jam-packed, and then we will break up on Friday, the 25th of May, for a half-term break for a week. We will have revision sessions in there, and we're going to have revision sessions at Easter. Miss Saul will talk about them in a minute. But just to show you, I mean, it's just the colour I want you to look at. The blue areas are exams, and then morning and afternoon daily. So when you receive your timetable, so you'll receive the generic one with everyone on this week in the post. If you go through it with your child, just highlight the exams that they sit and start to kind of process that it is a demanding time. We've obviously had 2 mock exam periods, November and March, but the students sat those over a 2-week period and probably only sat half of their course. So just kind of like envisaging what this might look like and how they're going to manage and cope with the demands of multiple exams on multiple days. So don't worry too much about writing this down. A copy will go on the website on that tab that I've referred to tomorrow, and you will receive a generic copy and also a personalised one for your child in the post. When you receive your personalised one, can I just ask that you check the entries if there's anything bizarre on there in terms of like they've been entered for French and they study Spanish, or queries regarding their name, so the name on their exam timetable, because obviously that's the name that will go on their exam papers and on their exam certificates. Any queries with that, if you could either email them in for the attention of the examinations team, would be best, and then it can be directed directly to the right person, or phone in, but probably the best would be to email any queries or problems in for the attention of the exams team, just so we can resolve them prior to the exams. Okay. Right. So in terms of parental support, obviously a quiet space to study, away from the bedroom, somewhere where you can kind of keep an eye on them, and that they're like sat at a chair and a table, not sat in the bed trying to or attempting to revise. I'll talk about revision timetable in a minute, later on, sorry, and students have had workshops on this as well, so they're kind of well versed in this. But as parents, we'd really like you to just keep it in a public space and refer to it, hold the student to account to it, but also kind of reward, encourage, motivate them, and tick things off as they do them, because you know we want them to feel that satisfaction when they've got their to-do list done, and then see the impact on that in terms of the gains that they're making and the developments they're making in their subjects. So I'll talk about that a little bit later on. In terms of sticking to the plan, you know, if we got 2 weeks off, we'll talk about kind of like the schedule of that, but kind of encourage them to kind of stick with it and motivate them in terms of not having days off, kind of treat it like it was 2 weeks of school with revision in the evening. Testing them is crucial, and this is where you can ask them questions. What have you revised in this session? And then either get them to make some cue cards with question and answers on, or you can quiz them based on the content that they've covered. If they can make a set of quiz questions with answers and then you test them on them, you'll be able to see how much they've actually done, and also they'll be able to see how much they've retained in terms of knowledge and what area they need to kind of work on a little bit further. But we've done work with the students on that, on how to make revision cards as well. So the testing bit should just be kind of you as being a quiz master, and ensuring that they're taking responsibility in learning that material. Just remind them as well to take breaks and look after their well-being as well. Stay nourished, sleep, avoiding time on the mobile phone, and procrastinating, and using the time purposefully. And then just reminding them that this whole process is transient. It'll be over in a number of weeks. They'll have a really long summer, a 3-month summer to look forward to. They'll be able to come back on the 27th of June for their prom, to celebrate with their friends. So just kind of keep reminding them that this kind of feeling of overwhelming nature of the exams, and the hard work, and they might be tired, etc. All of those kind of feelings will pass, and it will put them in a really good place for college and the next steps post 16. Okay, so I'm going to pass over to Miss Sarwar. She's going to talk all things Easter revision, prom, hoodies, and then our revision sessions in school.
Okay, thank you, Miss Marlin. Right, as you have noted as a parent, and I'm a parent myself, revision is it's quite lonely, and time of the year or in their life. So make sure that when they're revising, you're part of it. I know they will just say straight away, you go with mom, go with dad, okay? You don't know anything about it, you don't know, they just don't maybe basically push you back. But please make sure that you're part of the revision timetable. At least you know what they're revising. At least you know that they're about the revision timetable. So when they come home, or when they're at home, you just ask them what you're doing in this afternoon, or what they're doing in the evening. So just be part of it. Okay, so we make sure that what we can, as a school, can offer is, there's lots of things happening. Okay, so first of all, the morning and afternoon after school revision sessions will run as normal, these ones, till they have their exams, and I'm talking about till the mid June. So we got morning revision sessions, we got after school revision sessions, and these been happening since September, and people have been attending. Sometimes we have a good attendance, sometimes we have a bad attendance. But these sessions are there, and these sessions are run by the expert teachers. Please make sure that you do push the morning revision sessions, especially. This is the time when we really want everyone to attend, when their mind is fresh. And also there's a lot going on in after school as well. So the school doesn't end at 2:45. The school really, for year 11s, they end at 4:30 till this is how the revision sessions are running, and they have been delivered by the teachers, by the subject teachers, and they are more meaningful because teachers design these revision sessions based on what the demand of the students, demand of the exam board, or demand of the revision. Okay, so the Easter is all about make sure that the routine is in place, and to make sure the students are waking up on time, and they are having their normal day as they spend their time in the school. That 5 hours at least they have to study, and the 2 hours extra. We are running revision sessions, starts from 10 o'clock till 12:30. So students will be in school for a good 2.5 hours. And there are some sessions they will be early, just like you can see the Combined Science Foundation one where Miss Moylan is running 9 o'clock till 11. Then there are some virtual lessons as well, 4 to 6 p.m. in the evening. And there is some revision sessions they have the virtual ones, 12 o'clock till 2:30. That is Miss Giraud. So when we post these revision sessions to you, please do have a look and highlight the ones the students should be attending. And I'm talking about science one is open, okay, to all. English one is invite only, maths is invite only. As you can see, the maths one's aiming at 7+ students or foundation. Then we got food, NEA boost, that means all food tech students will be invited. Also the art ones and geography, drama, they are open and all the students are invited. I think it's only English and maths ones they're invite only. So students need to ask their teachers, have I been invited? They will send an email to parents if your child have been invited, but the rest of the sessions are all open. And please make sure that the students do attend those sessions, and it will be like a normal day, 10 o'clock. They will be coming into school, they're going to sign in, they will be taken by their teachers to the classroom, and once the sessions are over, they will be basically escorted by the teachers, and they're not allowed to move around in the building because there's a lot of things happening same time in the building. So that is these are the more structured revision sessions and aiming at what they should be revising, what they are lack of. But what I'm going to say as a parent myself, that make sure when the students are coming for revision session, it's not like they're out of the house for 2.5 hours. Please ask them that do you know, have you got what you're going to ask your teachers? Okay, that's the preparation. They should have PLCs with them or specification with them or knowledge organizer with them when they come. I just don't want them to come to school and have just a blank line, papers, and they're just making notes, whatever the teachers are teaching. They need to come with the questions, and that is the best practice because they are more prepared, and that the revision sessions is going to be more meaningful, and they're not wasting their time. Okay, so this is all about the revision from me. And then prom, yes, an exciting opportunity. I will just say it's an incentive for year 11s to make sure their attendance to revision sessions can stay high, and it's also all about the attendance to school and punctuality to school can they can to sustain, and also it's the final drive to the exam season, and it's an event, or maybe the final or more exciting milestone before they depart from school and join their colleges, and that this is like the end journey for them. So yes, there is a criteria, and they have to meet that criteria to make sure that they enjoy their well-deserved prom. It's a formal event, and there will be the welcome mocktails, 3-course meals. There will be a prom award. There will be a disco. The photographer will be there, and there will be a coaches. They will take the students from school to the venue. So please push for that. Ask for where is your prom passport. Okay, have a look at the criteria from prom passport. And if they haven't completed or filled any revision session, just say, okay, I have seen you doing this revision at home. Can you show this to your teachers? And then they can sign it. Even they're revising at home, and if they bring some kind of evidence, we can sign their passport for that for that subject. And also there will be revision sessions after school. During Easter holidays, they need to bring their prom passport as well, so the teacher can sign it. They need to take the ownership of those passport, and that passport will be the ticket to go to prom. And it's just kind of they're looking after their prom passport, they're attending, and it's a way to recognize their achievements, is a way to recognize their efforts, is a way to recognize their motivation and engagement in school. And it's a nice way to end their year, but they need the prom passport. And the last day to submit the prom passport is 24th of April. That is after Easter holidays, and it's the first week. And that will give us the time to basically go through who has got a good attendance, who has got good punctuality, who has done who has got has attended all the revision sessions. And there is in that criteria is also we're going to track the behavior points. If the students have the behavior points, since we have given them the final slate, then they're not going to meet the criteria. Truancy, and also we just want them to behave as normal like the rest of the school. So the phones, AirPods, and uniform has to be. We're having some issues with the AirPods and phones at the moment because they think they're using phones. They're trying to use phones in lessons, and they say they're revising. No, the phones are not allowed. No AirPods, and the uniform has to be perfect because when they're doing their GCSE exam, they have to wear perfect uniform for the exam. So the uniform has to be till right at the end perfect. And once they meet the whole criteria, they will receive an invite to the prom, and then they will be asked to secure their tickets by paying. We don't know the how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, it's around £40, but it might be a bit more.
Yeah.
But there'll be a link.
There will be a link. We're going to send it. It won't be more than, I think it will be less than 40, but won't be more than.
Won't be more than 45.
More than 45. So then once you paid for the prom, then we will secure the place, and we will basically, you have to maybe go around and start shopping and buy some nice suits and dresses. And if there is any issue with that, we do have a good supply in school that the students can borrow the suits or the dresses from us. Okay, they can talk to Miss Banton about this. She will be in charge of that. Okay, and hoodies. Yes, I have spoken to the hoodies company, and finally we got the original date. That was the 7th of April. We had a bit of problem with the manufacturers. That's why we have the early closure. The deadline was 21st of April. 21st of March. And now we have extended our date because I spoke to them and I said, okay, we can have a delay in delivering Leavers hoodies. So Leavers hoodies, the students will get when they will have their Leavers assembly. And that will be the first week of June. That will be the first week of after half term. First week of June will be their when they will have the Leavers assembly. And that will be the nice way to end their period in Chorlton High School. When they will receive their hoodies, they will be wearing their hoodies and they will be attending their Leavers assembly with the hoodies on. That will be really, really nice. So only 134 parents have bought the hoodies, or students that have bought the hoodies, and more the merrier, because it will be nice. Means my children still got the hoodies in the 20th, and they've been wearing this hoodies since past 10 years, and they are very good quality, and it's a nice way to remember. At the back of the hoodies, they will have every single child's name on it, 300 students' name on it, with the head of year and mentor's name. So it's a nice way to remember. So the date is extended, and you can pay for the hoodies as soon as possible. And then now I'm going to pass it on to Miss Moylan. We're going to talk about the revision techniques and revision clock and revision timetable.
Thanks very much, Miss Sawa.
Okay, thank you. Let me just add.
Okay, so this will all be on the website as well, so I'll make sure it's up on that tab on the homepage just for you to refer to. But I just want to give a quick whiz through kind of some key things that we've spoke to the students about through some workshops they've been doing this half term, and also through the messages in form time and assembly. So the first thing is when they're doing the revision sessions, if you kind of encourage them to use the 1 hour revision clock. Now that's kind of like not just to spend an hour reading a revision guide or an hour making notes. It's about breaking it down into purposeful sections. So the first 10 minutes would be kind of mapping out what they're going to do in that session. So that might be looking at the red areas from, for example, their maths mock exam. So maths paper 1 mock exam, all the questions they got wrong and then working out which topics they are. Now, their maths teachers will have given them a PLC based on this as well, so it's also worth asking them about that, which the teachers have done for them. So they've highlighted their red areas. So it's identifying what are they going to do in that session. It's not opening the revision guide at page 1 and starting with basic algebra that they're probably quite competent at. It's zoning in on those small areas that they need to tweak and develop to make the maximum output. The next part of the session is the 20 minutes, which we call the master session. So this is kind of some purposeful practice. So if I use a maths example, it might be going on to Sparks Maths and zoning in on those topics, watching some of the revision videos. If they use a revision guide, turning to the contents page and finding those topics in the contents page, or seeking information on MS Teams. There's lots of revision resources on MS Teams for all of their subjects. So zoning in and doing a bit of mastery of that topic that they need to develop. The next 20 minutes is like the active part of the revision session. So they've revisited the content and the knowledge, and then they need to do something with that. So how are they going to translate that in terms of they might complete a practice exam question, they might make a set of online questions, they might start testing themselves on their flashcards, some sort of active revision that's kind of cementing that information in the long-term memory and building a schema between different topics as well and applying it to maybe an exam question. And then the last 10 minutes is like the check bit. I always say to students, yeah, you might do loads of past papers and work your way through, but if you've never marked them or got some feedback on them, you won't know what you've done well and what you need to further improve. So when they do, maybe if they did an online test, a lot of these are self-marking. So Sparks, Educate, GCSE Pod, Seneca, even BC Bitesize have short quizzes, self-marking quizzes at the end of the topics. And that gives them instant feedback. They can then zone in on the areas that they got wrong and rewrite those questions or make a list of them to review them again. If they've done part of a past paper, so I'm using maths as an example here, I know on Maths Genie, they've got loads of past papers and they've also got the mark schemes handwritten it as solutions, which are really purposeful for students. They're really easy to use. If they've done 3 questions on a past paper, the idea is during their 1-hour revision session, they mark them at the end of it. There's no point leaving them for 2 weeks and doing nothing with it. They want to get that instant feedback. So the self-assessment process is just as important as the active part of the revision, okay? Because it gives them a sense of pride and a sense of achievement. Yeah, I've got that. But it also gives them some direction on what they need to do in their next maths revision session based on what they're still not secure on. So referring to that 1-hour revision clock will be really helpful as parents. The revision toolkit, which we've advertised to students since September, encompasses these 5 key things. So the revision timetable, online learning, mind maps, revision cards, and past papers. All of them are as important, but used together and used well will get students the maximum output. They're the ones that will be the most successful that use a combination of all these strategies. So if I zone in first of all on revision cards, when students are making these, it's not that they're copying everything out and writing paragraphs of stuff. It's not that they're writing one question on one side and an answer on the other side. It's not that they're writing everything either. It's that they're zoning in on, for example, say they did a chemistry mock exam paper and then there was a 4-mark question that they didn't understand and they didn't get right. They'll have been through it with their teacher. They should have model annotations in their past paper, the past mock exam paper. And it's that they condense that into a revision card. So that's a 4 marks that they've lost on an exam. That goes on a revision card, and that's something to learn. It could be in history. They might put key dates, facts, formulas, things that they're struggling to learn and retain in the long-term memory that they know that they need to learn, that needs to be regurgitated in the exam. So lots of key things, or a timeline. It could be visual, and that they do something with those revision cards. Then they don't just sit in a pile like Pokemon cards or, I don't know, FIFA cards or something that they're accruing. It's that they're doing something with them and that eventually the pile gets smaller. So I shared this strategy with them in assembly last week in terms of what they do with the revision cards. So you don't need 3 boxes. You could have 3 cups. You could just have 3 parts of the table, 1, 2, and 3. And they can either test themselves, or if they've got someone to test them, even better, that they're testing them, that they're testing the material, have they learnt it? So they might spend some time in one of their revision sessions reviewing revision cards, and then in the active part, they self-test. So if they get the revision card right, it goes in box number 1. If they get it wrong, it goes into box number 2. Then at the end of the cards, then they would review boxes number 2 and 3. If they got it wrong from 2, it would go in number 3. And then the idea is number 1 is full of all the things that, they're quite competent at. And those revision cards can be almost discarded. The ones that they haven't got right, or they're not so sure on, or not so secure on, have ended up in box 2. If they get them right the second time, they go back in box 1, and then they can be discarded. If not, they go in box 3. And it's just that regular repetition of using the revision cards, self-testing them, but making the pile get smaller and smaller. And the idea is then the night before an exam, they've maybe got a couple of cards that they might need to read on the way to school, not a chunk of them in the pocket and feeling overwhelmed that they don't know all this information. It's attacking it small and often, and using this strategy to kind of help self-test and review those cards as they go along. In terms of online learning, we've said to them about making sure they know their exam board. So when they're using online resources as knowledge sources, trust in the resource. So, a go-to one is BBC Bitesize, because it links directly to the exam boards. There's no login that's needed. It's a really reliable resource. There's videos on there, there's podcasts on there, there's self-testing quizzes at the end, there's exam questions on there. The online resources that schools subscribe to and students have got logins for are also trustworthy. So Seneca, Educate, GCSE Pod, Sparks Maths. Students have logins for those, and obviously I know there's not a one that would fit all subjects, but different subjects use different ones based on what's the most reliable and what's the most purposeful for their subject. Expert videos, so if they're using YouTube to self-teach on something or go over a topic, and making sure that they're using those videos that have been signposted by the teachers, okay? Because sometimes in YouTube you can go down a rabbit hole and there'll be all sorts of information shared. So making sure it's a reliable and trustworthy resource. When they're using online sessions, we want them to summarize the learning. That could go on a revision card, something that's insecure that needs to be relearned and then self-tested. Make sure they know their logins. Obviously, that's crucial in making the whole setup seamless. Encouraging them to do the self-marking quizzes and getting feedback after a revision session, and then maximising the time and minimising distractions. Obviously, online learning, has come so far in recent years, and it's a really lucrative resource. But on the downside is it can be distracting for students who then go online for other things and get distracted from the main thing. So we need to keep the main thing. I just mentioned GCSE Pod before there. Some of them have got podcasts which they could listen to on the way to school, short 10-minute podcasts which talk them through topics. So that's about maximising downtime or wasted time to be more purposeful. They're short 10-minute podcasts. Some students have found them really useful. They've got topics on there, that go through all the different small topics of specifications. And then they've got sample exam questions with mark schemes and also short multiple choice quizzes as well. So each topic there you can see has got the test. So it's got the revised section and then the test section there. Okay. Past papers. We spoke to students about using this week now to gather as many resources as they need to be successful over the 2-week Easter break. So that's past papers from their teachers, printing off any materials they want, any knowledge organisers they need, If they're doing a past paper, it's not necessarily that they need to set a whole one in timed conditions. That might be something that they might save for a little bit closer to the exam. But if they feel confident on a topic and they're ready to do that, by all means do. Use timed conditions, but then after they've done it, they need to review it very soon after, okay? That instant feedback is crucial in giving them that self-awareness of what they've done well on and what bits that they need to kind of address moving forward. And then making the revision cards on the gaps or the incorrect areas, and doing this by going through also the March mocks. They've got a stack of March mock exam papers that their teachers have been through with them. They can gather the incorrect answers, seek the solutions, and then add it to a revision card. That should be the basis of the revision cards first and foremost, not just everything from a revision guide. Okay, so over the last week or so, students have been involved in some workshops, and we've talked to them about an Easter revision timetable and what that looks like. We spoke about the 7 a day, so 7 hours a day of revision. They would normally do 5 hours at school, and that's obviously with an expert, led by an expert teacher, dictated by one. So it's going to be even more difficult to do on their own. So, you know, we'd expect a minimum of 7 hours. So they follow the kind of school timetable in terms of 5 hours a day, and then another 2 hours on top of that, which we would expect currently in terms of before school and after school revision and evening revision. We want them to use a timetable to provide a sense of motivation, to feel a sense of achievement when they can tick things off that they've done, but to build structure and routine whilst they're away from school, whilst they're away from teachers dictating what they should be doing in lesson, to hold them accountable as well. So what we've asked them to do is to plot out the revision sessions. You will get a copy of this. It's an A3 folded sheet. I've got an example of a good one, which I'll show you, one that a student's done, which has been posted out as well. So that'll be on the front cover. On the inside, there's the 2 weeks for Easter, and on the back will be the first week back after half term, so that they can kind of overspill what they need to do in that first week and plan a really successful first week back. So plot out the revision sessions that they've signed up for or that are available to them, because obviously that will block out areas of the timetable, most of the time just morning sessions. So that's step one, and you can do that together if they've not done it already. Step two would be to plot out any non-negotiables, so any wellbeing activities. If they've got football practice, dance, they go to the gym, they attend the mosque, or they've got a favourite TV show, some, you know, little snippets of things. We don't want them to stop doing that. That's part of their routine. It's good, it's healthy, it's supportive, it's, you know, a break from revision, which we need active breaks from revision. Step three would be to plot out your subjects. So there's little headings to put the subjects in. So maths and English, we'd expect an hour of each day. I advise that they keep to the same time for the maths and English, just as it becomes routine, and they know that that's kind of like what they're doing each day, and they build their options, subjects and science around that. So you can see we've kind of like balanced it out in terms of their options. Just the titles in the small tabs at the top, and then the bigger boxes underneath are, this is where we need them to be specific. Most students write revision timetables just with the subjects like this, and then they sit down to do it, and then they don't know where they're going to begin. They spend half an hour deciding what they're going to revise. If they map this out day by day, they can kind of work out what specific tasks they're going to do and where they're going to do it. Teachers, so English, for example, have given a day-by-day Easter homework booklet, and they've suggested what activities to do each day in these sessions. So if you see at the bottom there, the 1st of April, Easter homework booklet, When We Parted, and Neutral Tones revision notes. So I think that's a poem for English Lit. So they need to make notes on that, and then there's something on Lord of the Flies and something on Macbeth. That's all in the Easter revision homework booklet. So students don't really need to think about what they need to do. They just need to do it and tick it off. Maths, for example, it might be from the mock exam, they struggled on the trigonometry question. So watch a revision video on it and then complete the question on Sparks. So it's being really specific about what they're going to do and where is the task and what's it on, to hold them accountable. And most of them have had a workshop this week on how to complete this, and I've already completed it already. I've got an example there of one that a student did in the workshop this week. So they've broke down what they're going to do this weekend as well when we break up. Make sure that they have Friday off and they have some time off to kind of reset, gather everything together, and then prepare to kind of like zone into this and be in full revision mode and get themselves into that routine. But have a chat with them about it, maybe work on it together if they've not yet done it. And it doesn't need to be all written out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. I've said to them, it might be you plot out the subject and then day by day you fill in what you're going to do and what you're going to complete. Okay. So just to kind of summarize, you will receive your pack with kind of all the key information you will need this week. The year 11 tab on the school website will regularly be updated. There's a lot of stuff on there already, and the how to help in terms of revision video is on there for you to view. You will get the slides for that in the post, in the revision pack, so please feel free to use that as well. If you've got any questions, I'm going to stay on now for a minute, a couple of minutes or so, until they're answered. So if you've got any questions, you can ask them in the chat. And if not, we'll look forward to seeing you again after half term. And if you've got any concerns or whatever, anything whatsoever at all in terms of exams, if you email the year team, Miss Banton, the head of year, Miss Sawa, head of school, or myself, Miss Moylan, and we can resolve any issues you've got. Okay, thanks very much for your time, and I'll stay on if you've got any questions. So there won't be another in-person parents' evening, no. But if you've got any issues, Ari, your spring data, so the data that's been released this week based on the March mocks, feel free to either direct it to the teacher if it's a particular subject issue, or via Miss Banton, the head of year. So we just don't have time for another parents' evening prior to the exams, because when we come back after Easter, it starts so soon. March mock results. So students, the data you will get home will be students' current grade. So in some cases that will be a combination of where they're up to in terms of the March mock and previous mock exam results as well. But the students have had the mock exam papers, so they should be coming home with them with their kind of scores on them, with their grades on them, so what they've got on the individual ones. We don't send home all the individual paper by paper grades. We send home a current grade, so you know exactly where they are, so it's quite transparent in terms of what they need to do to kind of get to the grade they're aspiring to be. During exams, normal lessons continue. We don't do study leave just because we want to have that provision for students to kind of still access revision and lessons and expert teachers and support. We can keep an eye on them, etc. And because it's quite jam-packed anyway, we will facilitate in-school revision sessions around exams as well. There does get to a point where a lot of exams have been sat already, so at that point we do kind of like let students go then, and there is an end point. We don't expect students to come in for lessons that they don't sit anymore, but initially till May half term and following that as well, students are expected to still come into school and come to the normal lessons for revision purposes. Every subject won't do a rag sheet. It's just in terms of different subjects do them for different purposes. For example, like English, it's the same 5 questions in terms of like structure. So it's easy to do that and zone in on that. Maths, it's also topic based. Science, it's different because one question could be about multiple different topics, so it's really hard to kind of zone in. It might only be worth 1 mark or something to zone in, but the teachers kind of go through it with them and have given them feedback, and they've done model annotations and answers with them, so that should be supportive in terms of zoning in on the red areas. In terms of maybe languages, students should know which area is a weakness in terms of the 4 components of the languages exams: reading, writing, listening and speaking. But no, so not every subject will do a rag sheet, but English and maths do, because it lends itself well to their exams. Okay, if there's not any more questions, I wish you all a lovely evening. This has been recorded, so it will go on the Year 11 tab on the school website, and do feel free to have a watch of the revision and how to help your child revise over Easter video that's been posted up on there. And there's some of the documents that will be posted home. There's also PLCs, which are really useful in terms of students ragging their confidence in topics for each of the subject areas as well. Okay, thanks very much for listening, everyone.